Hi everybody, I'm Jim Crawford, and coming up next, it's Yahoo News Live. Uh, so anyway, I'm gonna pay attention to me for a sec. I'm gonna turn the TV down. A little bit. Alright. Anyway. Anyway, this is gonna be very interesting. But as you can see, I wanted to remind you all that Yahoo News is up next in approximately a little over 15 to 16 minutes. And yeah. Yeah, that is that. Alright. Now before we get to Yahoo News, I'm gonna eventually set the page for Yahoo News a little over 15 minutes from now. But before that happens, before that happens, we're gonna jump to a commercial break. And so anyway, before we go too far on this, I want to put on a very quick commercial break. And buyers will love your home. Before that, before we get to the Yahoo News, we're gonna jump to commercial break. And yeah, sorry to keep you waiting. Sorry about that logo on the screen earlier. Anyway. We're gonna jump to commercial break. Hold on just one sec. Alright. Wow. Okay, I just pulled up Yahoo News. I just pulled up Yahoo Screen's website for Yahoo News. There is a lot of there's a lot of Yahoo News video clips on here. I may go with the the one with the 32 minutes and 12 seconds. That's what we're gonna go for. But before we get there, I want to put us on a commercial break. And I'm gonna put us on a commercial break like right now. And yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to commercial break like right now. We are going to come right back in a let's see. The time is 1:49 and my watch says 1:50. We'll be back with Yahoo News Live immediately after this commercial break in 8 minutes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Alright. Now before we get to the Yahoo News report, I'm gonna remind you that this is gonna be a long one. It's 32 minutes long. So I'm gonna turn your attention to the screen. Okay. Before we go too far, I do want to check something real quick.
My name is 127 Willow Lane. I had some work done. At 62, they...
Alright. You guys ready for this? Because here we go. Alright. Now then. It's going on 2 o'clock Central Time. Now let's watch the news. Okay, not what we expected. Well, I hate to disappoint you guys, but I'm not finding that video clip. So we'll go for a short one instead. There is no way I'm gonna be able to find that video clip of 32 minutes. Cause it looks like they took it off. Alright. Well, this is gonna be interesting because now I'm not finding that. Huh, you know what? I just found a different video on here. Let's see. 1 minute, guys. Just 1 minute. Let's try this one.
obvious when you trade. Fidelity's Active Trader Pro can help you find smarter entry and exit points and can help protect your potential profits. Fidelity, where smarter investors will always be.
Hi, I'm Olivier Knox, the Chief Washington Correspondent for Yahoo News, and this is Yahoo News Live. So the president is relaxing on Martha's Vineyard, Congress is on its summer recess, but if you're a political reporter like me, you know August is no vacation, and this weekend proved that point. Almost exactly 1 year after Ferguson, Missouri burst into the headlines and the national consciousness with the shooting death of an unarmed black teenager by a white police officer, it is once again demanding our attention. And speaking of demanding our attention, Donald Trump continues to use the national media as the world's largest selfie stick. We'll talk to conservative pundit and activist Eric Erickson about the Trump phenomenon, the Republican primaries, and what it's like to be called a loser by the Donald. But first, we begin with shots fired overnight at Ferguson, Missouri, turning a peaceful day of protests into a stark reminder of the terrible events of a year ago. Let's head to the ground in Missouri to shed some light on this confusing and tragic story. We're joined by one of Ferguson's newest council members, Wesley Bell. But first, Yahoo national correspondent Jason Sickles has been covering all of this for us. Jason, walk us through the events of last night and what's the atmosphere like today?
Well, Olivia, it's really sad and tragic. About sometime late into the evening, about 11, actually it started before 11, police say that a group of individuals started taking advantage of protesters, peaceful protesters, by looting businesses. I think they took a cash register. Undercover officers started monitoring these individuals, and then there were guns fired by between individuals, and then gunfire was fired at police. And then the police officers returned and shot an 18-year-old man who is now critically wounded.
Councilman, Americans are looking at the events overnight, and they're wondering whether it's possible that 1 year after Michael Brown's death, things haven't really changed all that much, haven't improved. Is that a fair characterization?
I don't think it is at all. I think that although we have a lot of work to do, there's no denying that progress has been made. I think when you see how we reformed our courts under Judge Donald McCullen, who's one of the best judges in the state, when you see that we have started implementing community-oriented policing, and I think the proof is right there for you. The law enforcement has been much more engaged with the community, and as a result, law enforcement and the community are learning to listen to one another more, and I think that's encouraging. But again, let me be clear, there's still a lot of work to do, no question.
Councilman, you recently said that the institutions on the ground there are changing and they're better reflecting the population. Are there things right now that Ferguson could be doing better or more quickly or differently to put this decisively in the past?
Well, I mean, obviously no one's perfect, and that would hold true for us as well. But it's not for a lack of trying. We're getting out there. We've hosted town hall meetings. We have, over the weekend, we had a job fair that was very well attended. Sunday, we had a back to school giveaway, and in each one of those, we had community organizations with different kind of resources they need, because that's the bigger issue right here, is that we need to make sure that all of our citizens have opportunities for employment, education, and things of that nature, as opposed to just focusing on the limited violence from last night. And that's what's most troubling, is that when you have one person or a few people who try and use the overwhelmingly peaceful protesters as cover, it takes away from the narrative. It takes away from us talking and pushing for reform and progress, and it changes the conversation to those negative things. So I want to bring it back to focusing on the positive, and the progress that we're making.
What do you think the events overnight, Councilman, tell you about the interim police chief's ability to handle this kind of crisis?
I think when you look at comparing it from last year to today, and in the short time that he's been, that Chief Anderson has been on the job, I have to say, I think he's done a great job so far, and I think we need to give him more time to acclimate himself into our community. And he's been doing that. He's been out meeting to everyone, talking to all types of residents, community leaders, leadership, myself as well. I think so far, it's a tough one. Again, this is a tough situation to walk into, and the fact that he was willing to do it, I think, speaks a lot about his character.
Jason Sickles, you recently did a piece on what it's like to be a black cop in Ferguson. Tell me the story of Robert Kirkwood.
Well, Robert, started in the police department 3 years ago. It was a city where he wanted to work with his first police job after working with the Army. He grew up in Ferguson, but after the events of last year, because of the way he was treated by protesters, he said, and also things that he, was experiencing within the department, not necessarily against himself, he said, but just things that he saw. He decided to go ahead and quit the department about 9 weeks ago.
But you tell also the story of another black police officer in Ferguson who has a very different experience.
Yeah, Sergeant Dilworth, who is a very popular police officer in Ferguson, and he has 22 years there, and very well liked. And he did consider resigning. It's been very tough on all Ferguson police officers, black and white, and he considered taking early retirement last fall. And now he tells me he's going to stick it out because he thinks that Ferguson can pull through this and be a model for the rest of the country to show them that you can overcome adversity.
Well, it's a great story, Jason Sickles. Thank you very much. Councilman Bell, thank you very, very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Alright guys, we're still on the air, and I'm looking at this page now, as you can see. So we're gonna watch we're gonna watch some of these videos on here, and yeah, let's check this one out.
Communications director for the short-lived Make America Great Again super PAC, which backed Donald Trump, wrote an open letter to Trump supporters.
Guys, I think we lost the signal of our broadcast. Let me do one check at the manager. Okay, let's see. How long is this video? Ooh, 20 minutes. Huh. Well, we can manage that. Let's watch it.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Kirk and this is Yahoo News Live. It is a very public case of buyer's remorse and it's gone viral. The former communications director for the short-lived Make America Great Again super PAC, which backed Donald Trump, wrote an open letter to Trump supporters saying he is the wrong man for the job. Stephanie Sigelski wrote that letter for the website Exo Jane and she's joining us here in New York to tell us more about it. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Thank you. Nice to see you, Stephanie. So first of all, tell us how you became involved in the Trump campaign.
Well, I began early last year. I was recommended to speak with the campaign about being their communications director. And so I had a series of meetings with some of the advisors, interviews. If they interviewed me, see if I'd be a suitable candidate, and that went on through the middle of June. I never worked for the campaign. I was not chosen to be the communications director, which was fine with me. But at the end of July, I was asked by another individual if I would join the super PAC.
And tell us who you met with at the Trump campaign.
In May and June, I met with Michael Cohen, who is a senior official within the Trump organization, and had a long meeting with him. I also met with Corey Lewandowski, who is Trump's campaign manager.
And we should mention, parenthetically, that Corey Lewandowski was just charged with simple battery in connection with the assault of former Breitbart reporter Michelle Fields by the Jupiter, Florida Police Department. We can actually, we have, I guess, a video or still of both of what they've released in terms of what happened, footage from the incident, which happened back in March. So Corey Lewandowski was one of the people you had multiple meetings with, is that right?
I did. I met with him on at least 2 occasions, maybe 3.
And so what did he and Michael Cohen tell you about Donald Trump's presidential aspirations?
When I first met with Corey, I asked him specifically, I said, is Donald Trump serious about running for president? Because all the speculation was that he was just looking for attention, you know, and I believed that maybe he was, because he had made the comments before that he wanted to run for president and never did. And he said he was very serious.
That he was serious about running for president?
I wanted to make sure he was serious, and Corey said, yes, he is serious about it this time. And at which point I said, okay, well, let's continue the conversations, because if he's serious, then I'm serious. I then went on to meet with Michael Cohen, and we had long discussions about, you know, how I would approach being the communications director, what the goals were. And at the time, as I mentioned in the letter, their goal was to get him to poll in double digits. I don't think anybody there or outside ever believed that he would do what he's been doing over the last 8 months.
But does that necessarily mean he wasn't serious about becoming president?
Well, and I can't speak. I have not met Donald Trump. I cannot speak to whether or not he personally was serious, but the thought process of the people within the organization, the people within the campaign was, if we can make him the number 2 man at the end of the primary process, we've done our job. That's our promise to him.
And when you heard that, did that appeal to you? Did it appeal to you to support even just a protest candidate who wanted to change the nature of the dialogue that was transpiring in the campaign?
Very much so. I think that many Americans that we're tired of the anger and the fighting in Washington. I'm tired of of the typical candidate, the typical politician and their rhetoric. And Donald Trump was bringing something different to that. He was being a straight shooter. He said, we have a problem. And I appreciated that.
So why do you hold it against Donald Trump or his campaign if people and voters started taking his candidacy more seriously and that the campaign discovered he was a much more viable candidate than they had initially assumed and that they would go all the way?
I wouldn't say I hold it against them. I do give warning to voters because they need to stop and look at what he's really saying. There is no substance to his policies. There is no there with him. He has the same lines in his stump speech about his polling numbers, about how great he is, and I don't see how that is the leader of the free world.
So you were supporting him as a protest candidate. You continued to work for the super PAC until it was dissolved in October. So why were you supporting him initially? I mean, you said because he was a straight shooter. And when did you come to the realization, in your words, that there was no there there? Why change your mind?
I had hoped that he would come forth, that he wouldn't just be the straight talker, that he really would come forth with proposals and ideas on how to make America great again, to use his slogan, to come up with ideas and solutions to help bring jobs back to America, to help stop some of the fighting in Washington, D.C., and to get us back on a good path as a country and be a strong leader. I think by the November debates, I was starting to see he's not coming out with any solid policy statements, any sort of, every debate, every time he goes out there was this bully pulpit and, some sort of what looked like a schoolyard fight. And it just became almost worse than what's going on in Washington.
It was interesting in your open letter, which is incredibly harsh toward Donald Trump. You do say, after the first debate, I was more anxious than ever to support Trump. The exchange with Megyn Kelly was like manna from heaven for a communications director. She appeared like yet another reporter trying to kick out the guest who wasn't invited to the party. As a woman, have you found some of his comments that he has made about women at all offensive?
I think that I find his comments in general about people to be offensive now.
And yet you found that manna from heaven?
I did. At the time, as somebody who needed content to do what we were going to be doing, I thought, okay, this is okay. He's taking somebody on. Today, I have a completely different view of that. I think that, kind of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I look at it now and his continued words against Megyn Kelly, against other women, they're not leaderly, they're not kind to women, and I do have a problem with it now. Perhaps honestly, if I'm taking full responsibility for myself here, which I will do, maybe I was blinded by my own ambition and saying, we can do something great with us, but I truly believe we could do something great with them.
You write, what was once Trump's desire to rank second place to send a message to America and to increase his power as a businessman has nightmarishly morphed into a charade that is poised to do irreparable damage to this country if we do not stop this campaign in its tracks. I'll say it again, Trump never intended to be the candidate, but his pride is too out of control to stop him now. You can give Trump the biggest gift possible if you are a Trump supporter. Stop supporting him. He doesn't want the White House. He just wants to be able to say that he could have run the White House. He's achieved that already and then some. If there is any question, take it from someone who was recruited to help the candidate succeed and initially very much wanted him to do so. The hard truth is, Trump only cares about Trump. Some people might say, Stephanie, how can you make this assertion if you never met Donald Trump, you never spoke with Donald Trump, and is this basically based on your witnessing the campaign?
It's based on my witnessing the campaign. It's based on how he behaves in public. You know, obviously what I say in the media is my opinion of what I take from this. And I truly believe that if he was out for America, I can't see him saying the things and behaving in the fashion that he's behaving. I agree that he has a right to say these things. It's his First Amendment right. But he could be the stand-up candidate. When there are riots, when there's bad behavior at his rallies, he could stand there and be leaderly and say, everybody, stop, you know, and he doesn't do that. And so that's how I sit there and say, I don't think he cares about anyone other than himself and the media time he gets.
You write that what happened in Brussels and in Pakistan were sort of the final straw for you, and you felt you had to come forward. Tell me why. Can you elaborate?
I can. Monday morning of last week when Brussels happened, and I was watching it, and I was watching the morning news shows, and he was on. And he offered no condolences, no worries, nothing. He just simply said, I warned you about this. I told you that Belgium was falling apart, that it was an awful place, and we need to shut our borders down immediately. And I thought, I can't believe this.
What would you have liked him to say?
I would have liked him to come out immediately and say, this is a tragic situation. I am, mortified that this has happened. Even yet again, another attack. We just saw Paris in November. That he didn't. He immediately broke into how he had, warned us that this would happen, or that it wouldn't have happened under his watch. And it bothered me that there was no solutions. It was just about him.
In a statement to Yahoo News, the Trump campaign responded to your open letter saying, quote, this person was never employed by the Trump campaign. Evidently, she worked for a super PAC, which Mr. Trump disavowed and requested the closure of via the FEC. She knows nothing about Mr. Trump or the campaign, and her disingenuous and factually inaccurate statements in no way resemble any shred of truth. This is yet another desperate person looking for their 15 minutes. Meanwhile, Mr. Trump is running for president because he is the only one who will make America great again. What's your response?
That's probably the same statement I would have put out if I worked for the campaign. They're right. I never worked for the campaign, and I didn't claim to. But it's not. It's the open letter references meetings I had. I was there. They happened. And what I saw from the super PAC side and what my opinion is on the candidate.
What has been the reaction, Stephanie, to your open letter to Donald Trump supporters?
It's been overwhelmingly supportive. There's the haters out there. I've gotten a lot of hate email and messages.
What kinds of things have they been saying?
Oh, that I'm a fraud, that, I'm an opportunist.
Some have even suggested you're being used by the Hillary Clinton campaign or the Ted Cruz campaign as a tool. Have you been approached by either of those campaigns, or were you approached?
I was not approached by either one, and in fact, in the Lachlan Mackey's piece last week, he actually asked me, he said, is there another candidate you're supporting? And there's not another candidate in the field that I'm comfortable supporting right now on either side. So I've not been approached by anyone's campaign. This is all me. I know I had some people say, well, all you're doing is helping Hillary Clinton. I don't know if I am or not. I'm not a supporter of hers. And she's a grown woman. She can take care of herself, and I'm sure she will if she's up against him in June, or after June into November. But I've had a lot of people reach out to me with support and praise and commending me for speaking out against him. The thing that I found interesting about that was I was hesitant to say anything. I was almost afraid of him. I've never met him, and I was afraid of him. And I think that's what a lot of people feel. They're afraid of what he or his supporters will say or do.
Have you heard anything from the Trump campaign since you wrote this open letter?
Not to my knowledge. I'm a little behind on email right now. But no, and unless they've tweeted something at me, and I can't keep up with the tweets right now, it's unbelievable. I mean, I suppose that sounds naive, but it is a little unbelievable to me. I have not heard anything otherwise, though.
It's pretty difficult to thrust yourself into the public spotlight this way. I just met your daughter. I'm sure you're concerned about doing this. What basically tipped you in favor of writing this open letter?
Well,
because I'm sure you must have thought about it a great deal, and it's quite lengthy.
It is. I spent several days writing it and thinking about it. I even thinking about whether or not to publish it, because I have two wonderful children and a wonderful husband, and I don't want them to feel the effects adversely of anything that I do. But I do feel strongly. I do feel like I have a voice for people, and I did want to say everything that I said in there. And I tried to do it in an eloquent way, not a very honest and straightforward way.
So I guess the bottom line is to understand your thinking. You felt comfortable supporting and helping Donald Trump as a protest candidate who was going to alter the political discourse in this country, but only as that. And once he became a more serious candidate, that's when you decided you had significant reservations, because in some ways that makes you hypocritical as well.
Right. No, and I wouldn't say it that way. I mean, I was glad when he was polling well. Like, every day when the poll numbers were up, there was hope. I thought this was going to be great. And had he continued down a path of, if he had taken the high road, if he had not had kind of the antics and the words and all the tweets about the candidates, like, you know, I just think that I would have probably stuck with him. But when you look at his Twitter, and it's all about lie and intent, or it's, you know, nasty things about whomever, it's a little disheartening to me. I mean, that is the political mudslinging to a whole new level. So I probably had taken that, like I said, high road approach, an intelligent, thoughtful, policy-driven approach, I'd still be a supporter, because I think that the political discourse needs to change, and I think the conversation needs to change.
Incidentally, the Trump campaign has issued a statement saying Mr. Lewandowski, Corey Lewandowski, who you met with, you said on several occasions, in a separate matter, this question of whether or not he assaulted a reporter from Breitbart. Mr. Lewandowski was issued a notice to appear and given a court date. He was not arrested. Mr. Lewandowski is absolutely innocent of this charge. He will enter a plea of not guilty and looks forward to his day in court. He is completely confident that he will be exonerated. Do you have any opinion on this whole incident?
You know, I don't, because I wasn't there. I don't know. I mean, we've seen the videos, we've seen tapes. I don't know if that's transparent. Some of those videos are a little difficult to see. I mean, I hope for his sake, and I hope for his family's sake, and for the campaign's sake, that it's not true, that he's found innocent.
As someone who was involved with the Trump campaign, at least peripherally, and then later with the, as we mentioned, the short-lived super PAC, do you believe that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee?
I believe that there's a good chance. I am also very frightened about what's going to happen in Cleveland in June. If he doesn't walk in with a 1237 delegates he needs, and it goes to a contested convention, I think it's a little extreme of him to say that there will be riots. I do firmly believe that all the people who supported him in the nominee will be even more upset with the political process and will cause an even greater divide in the country.
Well, Stephanie Sigelski, again, thank you very much for coming in to talk about your open letter to Donald Trump supporters. We appreciate it. And of course, we always look forward to hearing what you all who have been watching have to say. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Yahoo News and at Katie Couric, and use the hashtag Yahoo Live to let us know what you think about the race for the White House and the interview that you just watched. I'm Katie Couric. Thanks for watching.
Alright guys, that was very interesting, and again I'm sorry about the cutoff earlier. We lost the reception. We lost the reception signal. I don't know if you heard the full first 6 minutes of that short Yahoo video, but this one that we just saw just now was a very long one, 20 minutes and 17 seconds. That was very interesting, and the way we put it is that we seriously succeeded on that 20 minutes of that video. Yeah, that is about it. Anyway, before we sign off, I want to put us on a very quick commercial break. And speaking of which, we are going to take a excuse me, we're going to take a quick break. We are going to come right back. And let's see, look at the time, it's 2:36 p.m. Excuse me. I almost said 12 there for a second, but it's 2:36 p.m. Central Time, Wisconsin. Therefore, we're going to take a commercial break, a real quick commercial break, not too long. We're coming back in just 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Alright, before we sign off, I do want to mention to you all, this was supposed to be an hour and 30-minute video for today's event. Well, I'm afraid that we're going to cut this video short. I'm not going to be on it very long. So we're going to end it right now. I want to thank you all for watching. And yeah, before we do sign off, I want to point to you that I'm not sure when we're going to do more Yahoo News live events again. And I'm not sure if we're going to have any time for more live events today. I've only been doing this on my spare time, and I got other plans. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, so thank you all for watching. I'm Jim Carver. And yeah, I hope that we can see more about Yahoo Live events again soon. Some other time. That's it for now. Thank you for watching. I'm Jim Carver. And yeah, I will see you all another time. So for right now, I'm signing off. Thank you and have a good day. See ya.